Welcome back. You guys are in communication with us on Twitter as well as on Facebook. So let's hear what you're saying. Starting with Facebook, and Ntando says, Tata Madiba, you've been an inspiration in our lives. We salute you, Madiba. May your soul rest in peace. You will always remain in our hearts forever. And then further down, we've got Shirley, who says, a father, grandfather, uncle, husband, friend, hero is gone. A man who showed us light in education, who brought freedom in this land of Africa. You will always be remembered. And finally, just going back to the conversation we were having earlier on in the program, well, Tandega says to the show, he goes, wow, Nelson Mandela once called Lucas Radebe his hero. Some people are very lucky and blessed. I think, Tandega, it's the other way around. Lucas is the lucky and blessed one to have ever heard those words uttered in his direction. Now, when we talk about Udada, we have to talk about his ability to motivate. The words he spoke reverberated throughout the world. His actions inspired millions, and those that have met him speak of an aura that is larger than life itself. Let's welcome our guest, and that is motivational speaker, Dr. John Tibani. And Dr. Tibani, the first thing I have to say is, Udada was a motivational speaker.
No, absolutely.
Well, actually, motivation is a beautiful word because it's a grammatic construct of two words. The first word is motive, and the second word is action. So motivation means giving people the motive to act. Now, that doesn't have to be in words. It can be in action. It can be in your lifestyle. So he actually gave us the motive to act. That is why he always said, let's make it work where we live, right in our country. So truly, he was a motivator. He may not be a motivational speaker in terms of how people understand, but he surely gave us the motive to act, the reason to wake up and do it for ourselves.
Was he an inspiration to you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody
Who wouldn't say that?
Who wouldn't
Thomas?
say that? And we're not really saying it because he's gone, but we're saying it because it's true. And that is why today I feel so inspired, but also very humbled to can just say a few words about such a hero in our lifetime.
Talking about a few words, Dr. Tibani, he obviously has lived by certain values, and that's why the world is celebrating Madiba, Ntando Rolihlahla Mandela today, and I'm sure till eternity. What sort of values can we take from his leaf of life, and how can we inspire South Africans to aspire to be greater people?
We really cannot forget the values of reconciliation, of peace, of hard work, of generosity. But I can tell you, Griselda, right now that it is going to be a tragedy if we just hold on to the person of Mandela, but never hold on to the principles of Mandela. Great movements in the world have lasted forever because people didn't just embrace the person, but they also embraced the principles. You know, we can shout a lot about him as a person, but if we do not hold on to the principles, we are the greatest losers. Because once somebody passes away, he no longer belongs to us, but he belongs to the ages. Today you can talk about a Martin Luther King Jr. embracing what he said, even though you are not an American. Guess what? There will be people in Ethiopia and somewhere else who may run with the principles and the values of Nelson Mandela, even though they have never touched him, even though they never walked where he walked. So as South Africans, we have the greatest challenge. Are we going to embrace his principles? Because even as he has gone, but he has left us with the principles.
I'm loving the attitude for gratitude. I'm loving the tragedy and turning that into something else, Griselda. But unfortunately, it would be a bit of a tragedy if I let you go on because others wouldn't get a chance to speak.
Thank you for the strategy out of a tragedy. Thank you.
Now, Ntando Nelson Mandela's values go beyond making sacrifices for what you believe in. They can become a foundation, a gateway to living profound lives that we can all be proud of. Now, let's hear from South African children who took the value of love, of education from Tata Madiba to heart.
We will miss Tata Mandela because he loves children.
I know Tata Mandela was the leader.
So I want to be a leader.
Tata Mandela loved everyone and forgave everyone, and I also want to love everyone and forgive everyone.
I love Tata Mandela because he loves children.
Tata Mandela, we love you because you love children.
I go, Tata wanted children to go to school.
I want to give the world all the truth.
When I grow up, I want to be a doctor, to go to university and to be a doctor to help others enjoy.
I want to be a doctor because I heard Tata Mandela was building a children's hospital.
On Twitter, Zweli says, yes, he is gone for real, but his spirit is surrounding us. And Donald then goes on to say, SABC 1, today another great tribute to Utata. The humanity Utata had is admirable. He sought to serve others. Absolutely, you guys are getting the message that we are talking about today. And now we're moving on to our next guest, Griselda.
Akuhlanga lungehlanga Mzansi, and we are bringing this live show for you to just connect with your feelings and be part of the conversation. And joining us right now is Zahara Nomzwakembuli, the people's poet. And Zahara, you had the privilege of performing for Tata Madiba before he passed on. Tell us about that experience.
From
the beginning.
All right, growing up from the Eastern Cape and Bankalelba, Utata Mandela ke usuka up, and then when we passed his house, usuka Pekunu. Every time, because at that time, yes, we're like, our hero usuka up Eastern Cape. And then when I grew older, I was so eager to see Utata. Just noba use stadium no buku pina. And then I've never seen Utata in my life. And this one time we get a call from the chief who put Mandela. So he says, Utata ufuna ukubona equnu. That is a prank call, and then Butike tells me, "I bet must see So I remember coming in I was shaking, not because I was shaking. This great man, we go sing wherever in the world, and our voice is heard. So I was like, it was like he's an angel, still an angel.
Yeah.
Can't pick up a sitting room or a lounge or in a dining room. Guess what? We went up to his bedroom.
Oh, and now ukudibana notata and not be overwhelmed by emotions. Xa uzawungena umbona pha ebhedini kuthiwe uzomphefomela. Did you even manage to get the key right on your guitar?
I was like, on YouTube they still have the video. I remember I was like, you must start with Lord, you will take one. And I sang, there's a song that it was a tribute to all the heroes and the heroines of the ones that I passed on and that are still living. And obviously Tata Mandela, Abu Babu, Oliver Tambo, Chris Hani, Babu Lutuli, Babu Mandela, Mama Matikizela Mandela. And when I played that song, I remember I messed up my verses. Instead of starting with the first verse, I started with the last verse. That's how I was like,
that's the Madiba magic.
Because he was looking at me and I was like, I didn't be too low. And I mean, I get the chance and to think. I remember now on Saturday, Nano Putike, we were talking, I was so overwhelmed because we were actually thinking we the last people to visit Utata, public visit. Utata, and as an artist and as Umuntu, and before he passed on. So I still feel blessed. That's why I told myself when I'm from there, I've got my blessings. That's why I wrote the song, which is the Nelson Mandela, and I featured the people's poet, which is called Tata Mandela on the Pendula album.
You speak about Mzwakembuli, the people's poet. Was Utata an inspiration to you to live up to the title of the people's poet?
Indeed he was. He surprised me on the 4th of the 4th, 1989. He wrote a letter to me. I never thought he knew me. He knew about me, whether I existed. And he said...
By then he was in prison in Cape Town.
He was in prison, yes. He said, dear Motswako, the prison number NR Mandela, that you know that you are loved beyond the borders of your own hometown. Those were his words. He said, I'm a soldier on. Because the timing of the letter was perfect. I had actually came out from the severe torture under Section 29 of the Internal Security Act. And also my home was in Pinneville Zone 4, bombed with hand grenades, F1 hand grenades. I was confused, shocked, worried, angry. And the letter was a therapy. Madiba's letter was a therapy. And again, to think no one would envisage that it was going to be released the following year. Then I was at FNB welcoming him. We talked with him. He said a famous speech in KZN, throw the weapons, your weapons to the sea. 1994, I'm told I will have to warm up the stage because before he will speak to the nation, they need a poem. I said, Ziki. A few years later, I'm in prison. He came, spent in 2002, 2 hours with Zelda Lichranzi. It's the three of us in an office of the head of the prison, the area commissioner office. So this was a Madiba for 2 hours. He brought, again, timing was perfect. On the 31st of Griselda, July 2002. Now, my birthday is on the 1st of July, of the 1st. He brought a bucket full of fruits and flowers. He broke the prison rules because no one is allowed to bring so much fruit and flowers midweek, because this was a midweek visit. And the joke, just to add humor, the warders waited outside to pose photos with him because he agreed to take photos with them. The VIP, what is this PPU? Protection guard. Yes, yeah. So they waited. But the joke is, as I'm saying, we should add humor. Madiba spent 2 hours with me, full hours. And he spent 2 minutes with the warders outside to take photos with these guys. So who else could have this opportunity, this honor? That is why I emphasize that God was in a happy mood when he created Nelson Mandela through his parents.
But your life must have been in danger so many times. What kept you going? Because you were speaking language that was banned at the time.
Yeah, I was an official enemy of the state with a tag number. That is why before the TRC, Jacob Stopper said the order from Flag Plus was to execute Motswako because he's, after all, an enemy of the state. Madiba, after the bomb blast, after receiving his letter, I realized it means they can come and finish him off, because here is Madiba, I'm given a mandate to continue to soldier on. What I was doing, the conscience was very clear that it was correct to fight the apartheid regime or the oppression. So I'm saying Madiba's name made me to realize that even this pain, the structural damage, was nothing compared to somebody who was actually languishing in prison for so many years.
Sure.
You know, Zahara, you've spoken already about how you were one of the last South Africans who wasn't a family member to be brought into Utata's life. But you're also an icon to the youth of this country. And as a young South African, the lesson from Utata that you can now share with them, what would that be?
Oh my gosh, like I always say, Utata to me is like a soundtrack of my life. That's why I guess I got a privilege of Bantube at the Mandela Children's Hospital. Now they came and approached me to be one of the ambassadors. So now I'm one of the ambassadors of the Mandela Children's Hospital. To think in Ntombazane Suka from the village, getting Utata, actually clapping hands. You will see even from YouTube now, clapping hands. I'll try and do this in his voice. Okay, I'm not going to be perfect on it. So this is what he said. You are a special girl. And South Africa is blessed to have you. May God bless you. I'm going to say it in class that that means, can you give me your guitar? And at that time, everybody was laughing about it. So I'm thinking when I go back to Ekuno on Thursday, I'm going to bring that guitar and sign it and give it to the family. That guitar will be celebrating Tata's life, and that will be my flowers. To the youth of Umzansi. And they asked us and everything. Utata ebehleli ngapha prison. I mean, he would have done anything, I give away whatever, but because he wanted to fight for us and ask for a better future for us, what we can do. Ileke Sekatata is about peace. It's about perseverance. It's about love. It's about forgiveness. It's about believing of who you are and what God has made you to be or want you to be. So, the youth, if you have a dream, work hard. and press on, your time will come.
Bavile, as Utata said, you truly are a special girl. Now, Mthethwa, as we say, we're paying tribute to Ntando Rolihlahla, and many people are taking different leaves from his life. What legacy do you believe would help us to live his greatness?
You can give a better testimony with your life than with your lips. Life is not a dress rehearsal. You are not born with a manual. Madiba spoke and practiced what he believed. The reason why he's loved by so many people in the world, you go to prison, they hurt you, they humiliate you for 27 years, you come out, you have a lunch with a wife of a former president who imprisoned you. It's only Christ who said you must turn your cheek if somebody slaps you the other side. So Madiba says he did not need bazookas and AK-47 to be removed from the throne. That's number one. Number two, he was not a tender leader. You know, talk about tenders. Three, he was not a leader of a term, third, fourth term. Madiba, he led with the servant's heart.
You know, Griselda, the most amazing part of this conversation for me was that we've got Motswako, a completely different generation, to Uzahara, who was not quite born free, 1988, but grew up free. She grew up free, you know, and yet you can still speak with such conviction about the contribution that Utata made. After the break, Zahara will be performing the song Tekwane, which she performed for Utata when he was ill at his home.